The most powerful force in the universe is compound interest. That line gets attributed to Albert Einstein, and in a moment, I'm going to show you why he, almost certainly, never said it. But here's the stranger part. Even though the quote is fake, the idea is true. There's a force so quiet, so slow, that your brain literally cannot feel it working. The same force that trapped you with the credit card in our first episode is the one that can make you rich. The villain and the hero are the exact same thing. Over the next few minutes, you're going to understand how it works, why it fools you, and how to get it on your side before you run out of the one ingredient you can never buy back. But for you to understand why, we have to go back to the beginning. To understand this force, we have to travel back almost 4,000 years. Babylon, the first bankers in history, carved their loans into tablets of clay. And here's the detail that explains everything. The word they used for interest was the same word they used for the offspring of livestock. Think about that. To them, money was like a goat. If you lent out a goat, you expected that goat back plus a kid. Money reproduced, banned charging interest for centuries. They called it usury. It felt unnatural that money could make more money without doing any work. But here's the key you need to lock in. There are two ways for money to grow. Simple interest only grows on what you put in at the start. Compound interest grows on what you put in, plus everything it has already earned. The interest earns its own interest. The goat has a kid, and that kid has another kid. At first, you notice nothing at all, and that is the trap at the heart of this whole story. Let's come back to Einstein. Here's the truth. There is no evidence, none, that he ever said that line. The first time anyone called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world, it was in a bank advertisement in 1925. And the full quote got pinned on Einstein decades after he was dead. Why am I telling you this? Because on this channel, the facts matter. And because the idea doesn't need Einstein to be true. And here's the question I promised you. $1 million right now in your hand. Option 2, a single penny that doubles every single day for 30 days. Almost everyone grabs the million and almost everyone loses. Because that penny doubling on day 30 is worth more than $5 million. That's what your brain can't see. We think in straight lines, 1, 2, 3, 4. But compound interest doesn't walk, it leaps. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. At first, it looks like nothing, and then suddenly it's unstoppable. In 1790, one man decided to test this force with his own money from beyond the grave. Benjamin Franklin, with one ruthless condition. No one could touch the bulk of the money for 200 years. The plan was to lend it out, little by little, to young tradesmen just starting out and let the interest compound century after century. The result? 200 years later, in 1990, those $4,000 had grown into roughly $4.5 million in Boston and about $2 million in Philadelphia. But pay attention to the fine print, because this is the lesson. Franklin had calculated far more, so why did it fall short? Again and again, reached in and pulled money out early. Every time you interrupt the process, you kill the most powerful part. Compound interest punishes by your annual interest rate, and it tells you how many years it takes your money to double. Earning 7% a year, 72, divided by 7, about 10 years to double. It's a trick from a math book more than 500 years old, and it still works today. But this force has a dark side, and you already know it. Remember the credit card from our first episode? Revolving interest is this exact same force aimed straight at you. Let me show you both sides with the same money. Put your $5,000 of debt on your card at 24% interest. If you only pay the minimum, how long until you're free? More than 20 years. And along the way, you pay over $11,000 in interest alone, more than double what you borrowed, at 7%. Over those same 20-odd years, it grows into nearly 20,000. Same money, same force, same amount of time. The only difference is which side of the equation you're standing on. That's why, before you invest a single dollar, the mathematically perfect move is to kill your expensive debt. Paying off a 24% debt is like earning a guaranteed 24% risk-free. No investment on Earth offers you that with certainty. So, how do you get on the right side of this force? 3 rules. Rule 1, and it's the most important. Time beats amount. Listen closely to this. Then someone who invests the same amount, but starts at 35 and never stops. 10 years of a head start, beating 30 years of effort, because the secret ingredient isn't how much you put in, it's how long you let it grow. You don't need a fortune to begin. You need a small amount, automatic, every single month. Compounding doesn't reward the one grand gesture. It rewards the one who shows up again and again. Remember what happened to Franklin's fund when officials kept reaching in. The same thing happens when you pull your money out early for something you don't need. Every withdrawal resets the clock on the most powerful part. Let it grow. Reinvest what it earns. And have an almost boring kind of patience. And with that, we close a story told in 3 parts. In the first episode, you met the trap, the credit card. In the second, the judge, the number that scores you. Today, law of it, compound interest, or build you a fortune. The difference isn't how much you earn, it's whether you understand it and when you begin. Because there's only one thing in this entire equation you can never buy back: time. Franklin had 200 years. You don't, but you have today. Is always the best time to plant the tree. Next episode, we go after the silent enemy of everything you just learned. The invisible force that, while your money grows, quietly eats it from the inside. Inflation. Subscribe and keep what you earn.